Hey guys, Bobby Bollinger here with another Survivors video. Now today I'll be going over who is causing all the mayhem in A Pack Divided. Now this is actually a very good question because it's basically the whole story. So I'll be going through this case by case, then providing an overall theory for the whole thing. Now let's start off with the dogs who basically have the highest suspicion on them, face it. It's Twitch's former pack, which include Whisper, who's not suspicious anymore. Oh yeah, spoilers alert for this whole thing, and basically the entire Survivor series. So there's Whisper, Woody, Rake, Breeze, Chase, and Ruff. Now for the food stealing, I really think it was Breeze. Why? C's the one who calls attention to it. And that's actually very important. Because, well, we'll talk about some of the other things later, but right now, what makes Breeze so suspicious is that her loyalties are kind of erratic. Like, when the fox is killed, she blames fierce dogs, including Storm. In the beginning, when talking about her religion, she seems pretty friendly to Storm, then just, no. Then, she goes back to being friendly when she's with Moon on High Watch. Now, isn't that a bit weird, don't you think? That Breeze, the dog that calls Moon out on supposed food stealing, and is actually very, very hostile to her at the time, is now all buddy-buddy with her all of a sudden. I mean, why would you frame someone for stealing food and then act kind to them? Well, that isn't the first time it's happened in the Survivor series. If you happen to remember this book, A Hidden Enemy, you'll remember that Lucky frames this little black guy over here, Mulch, and then feels bad for him after the punishment is dealt, and is friendly with him. That is exactly what happens in A Pack Divided over Moon's food stealing. So, I think the Aarons kind of meant to draw that parallel. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I think it was definitely Breeze for this one. Now, the next one, the Fox Killer. For these, I have two suspects, Breeze and the unknown dog. You can already tell I'm kind of suspecting Breeze of some stuff. I'm also kind of suspecting, well, you can kind of suspect Thorn for this. She has a mind for revenge about it, but in the end, it doesn't really make sense because she's terrified of the foxes. That's evident in the battle. I don't think she would have had the nerve to just go up to the fox camp, take a cub, and kill it. I just don't think she'd have the nerve for Fox. Anything else? Maybe, but not Fox. So Thorn, you're safe this time. Now the other one, yeah, Breeze. Now the reason I'm suspecting Breeze here, other than she's just a really suspicious character throughout the entirety of the book, is that there were, I believe, 4 dogs missing from the battle with the foxes. Moon, who was, up on High Watch a far distance away, she has a good excuse. Arrow and Bella, well, they're sleeping together by some oak tree or something. So we know why they weren't there, but Breeze was also absent during that battle, and the question is, why? Why was Breeze absent during that battle? That's just a very good question, and it's kind of suspicious also when Twitch, Alpha, and Lucky are going over suspects over basically just using who wasn't at the battle. They go over everyone except Breeze. And for readers, you should take that as a red flag, because, yeah, it kind of made that one obvious. And, as I said before, an unknown dog. Now, why this is because I think the dog that killed the fox also killed the Whisper. So, yeah. I just feel like those two are connected, and you'll see more on that later in the video. Now we move on to Whisper's killer. Now this is the big one. This is the juicy steak of the whole book. Now, one thing I think I should note is I don't really suspect Breeze too much on this one, simply because I'm not sure Breeze would have it in her, from the limited conversations we've had with her, to kill one of her own packmates. Now, this could be very wrong. Again, we've had somewhat limited conversations with her, so maybe not. I kind of doubt it. And also, the reason I don't think Whisper's killer was Breeze is that's a very simple answer. And this is the first book in the series, guys. This series needs to go on for 5 more books. If the answer is as simple as Breeze did it, I'm not sure the series could go on for 5 whole books. So I think there's gotta be something more, because if you don't plan out a series and you just kind of jump into it, the second series usually just dies. Seekers. Sorry. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Now that out of the way, we're moving on to the overall theory, which basically also says who killed Whisper. Now, from what I've seen, Breeze is getting a lot of attention compared to Twitch's other pack dogs like Ruff and Chase. I'm not even sure Chase is mentioned in the book, for crying out loud. But Breeze is a lot of places. The strangest of which is on the hunting party, because according to the pack list, she's in the middle of the patrol dogs. Like, why is she going hunting? She's a patrol dog. She's not even a high-ranking patrol dog. There are other patrol dogs who could go hunting if they had to, but it's strangely always Breeze. And from a writer's perspective, that's like, I'm going to give them a little red flag and see if they can see it. So guys, Breeze, almost certainly important to the plot. Almost certainly. Now, why, if I don't suspect Breeze of so much stuff, of basically the killings, then why is he so important to this overall plot that I'm thinking up? Well, I think it's because he's being used by some unknown dog to stir up some tension in this pack. Now, how they would get Breeze to do that and not just report the intruder to her alpha? Well, you could threaten her life, which is a simple thing to do and could probably be a good excuse throughout the 6 books. Or, a little more interesting, you could threaten another dog's life. Now, why she wouldn't just report this to Alpha? Well, I don't know, fear makes people do weird stuff. Fear can probably make dogs do weird stuff. Also, from what we've seen of Breeze's belief, it's very possible that she's thinking of the fear dog when she's doing all this. So this dog might have convinced her that they're the fear dog. Now, why would this unknown dog even be doing this to start with? Now, the obvious thought is, it's gotta be Blade's old pack. I don't think so. I think they're just more or less out of it a little bit. Now, other dogs, they'd have to have either a grudge against the pack, which would be Blade's old pack, or they'd have to have a grudge against a certain member of the pack. Now that kind of sounds like, well, we don't really have anyone who fits that, but if you step outside of the main series and move instead to the little mini-stories in Tales from the Packs, read up on Sweet's journey, you'll notice that there was an old beta before her. And this is actually very important because she promises to come back for her revenge against Sweet. Which is important because, well, this series, that's the perfect motive. And also, what makes it even more likely that this dog sews back up is that the Aarons, the writers, just hate to see a dog leave the story without dying. That sounds harsh, but it's kind of true. Source, Twitch's pack. Source, Twitch. Source, Blade's pack, for crying out loud. Showed up in the first story, didn't show up again until the third, became the main focus. Also, another source, wine. Now, now this dog obviously has a lot of motivation if you've read Sweet's journey to just dismantle this pack. And unlike the Fierce Dog pack, actually has the mental capacity for it. It's just not go kill. So you'd actually have some brains for it. Also, how in the world, you may be thinking, what are the odds that this dog finds this pack again after she goes on her own merry way, they go on their own journey? How do those two meet up again? Well, it's not as unlikely as you think. See, we're not talking just about this one dog finding this one pack. We're talking about this one dog finding either that certain pack, the Fierce Dog pack, or a character you might not even have suspected of anything in this series. So you might just have needed to find wine. You know, the Omega before Sunshine, the little pug, that black pug that kind of betrayed the pack in the last book, who cannot survive on his own in the wild and will be looking for someone to help him, who will not be the Fierce Dog pack that rejected him, or the current pack, the main pack, who, obviously rejects him now, for good reason. So he's going to be specifically looking for someone. And he also kind of has some resentment against this other pack, against the wild pack. So you've got two dogs who probably met up, they got a good chance of it, who met up and hate the wild pack, who can put their intellectual abilities together, one of which has physical capabilities to threaten others. It all just means that the main antagonist of the series is probably the old beta and wine. I mean, I'm sorry if this ends up ruining the next 5 books, but I seriously think this is where the series is going. It makes sense, it's cool, it can probably drag out for 6 books. Yeah, I think this is it, guys. I think I solved the whole series. Maybe I did. Maybe the writers are being influenced by this or something. I hope not. Just keep doing your own thing. It's been going good so far, for the most part. And yeah, keep on trucking, guys.